your best strategy for success in life isn't the exercise of raw power. It's a really counterproductive strategy. It doesn't even work very well for advanced animals. Your best strategy is skill and reciprocity. So, and there's a real high order ethic in that. That has nothing to do. So the idea that our hierarchies are predicated on power and they're corrupt because of that, and the whole world is a battleground between hierarchies of, different power hierarchies, and it's winner take all, and, the devil take the hindmost. That's completely inappropriate psychologically. Well, the other thing that's kind of sad about that is that no matter what system you set up, that's the outcome.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the Pareto distribution, so if that's the distribution of wealth, you find that in every society that we know of, whether it's capitalist or socialist or communist for that matter, a small proportion of the people have a disproportionate amount of the resources. So the other thing that I've been trying to explain in my lectures is that if you were really concerned about the dispossessed and the poor, you wouldn't put hierarchical dispossession at the feet of capitalism, because it's a way worse problem than that. Because the Marxist types, they think, well, if we didn't have capitalism, there wouldn't be hierarchies and there wouldn't be dispossession. And that's complete bloody rubbish, because the problem of hierarchy and the problem of dispossession is way deeper than the problem of capitalism. So like if you look at Neolithic grave sites way before there was capitalism, you see that a small number of people are buried with all the gold. So the fact of unequal distribution of resources, that's as old as hierarchies are old. It's unbelievably old. And so for the leftists to take an anti-capitalist position and assume that that's going to be of benefit to the dispossessed is an idea that's at least 145 years out of date, as far as I'm concerned.
But we do want to discourage tyranny. We do want to keep that. We do want to keep someone from accumulating so much wealth that they dominate the world and have a disproportionate effect on culture and do things that are detrimental, that could be in fact detrimental for decades and decades to come. I mean, look, to this day...
Well, that's why you have a balance of powers in the United States, too.
Right.
Because, the thing is, it's not the case... It should, the fact that you can't characterize the West as a patriarchal tyranny doesn't mean that hierarchies don't become tyrannical. Sometimes they do. And we have to be alert to that. I mean, that's been known for a very long time.
So is it fair to say that the West has some aspects of hierarchical tyranny?
Of course. And I would say that's a mythological truism. So, the way that society is represented in our deep narrative structures is always twofold. There's a wise king and a tyrannical king, and they're pitted against each other. And your job is to amplify the wise king and keep the tyrant under control. That's the evil advisor to the king, like Scar in The Lion King.
Yeah.
Right? So there's always this shadowy figure in the background that's malevolent and psychopathic and power obsessed, that's attempting to take over the hierarchy by ill-gotten means. That's evil itself in some sense. It's the archetype of evil, and so that has to be taken into consideration. But the problem with the viewpoint that's so prevalent in our society right now is that, and that's the patriarchal tyranny viewpoint, is that it's only the evil king. And then that's particularly hard on young men, because if you believe that all of our hierarchies are predicated on nothing but arbitrary power, and that that's a natural consequence of masculinity, then whenever you see anyone who's masculine manifest anything that's associated with competence or confidence or let's say competitiveness or heaven forbid aggression, then you immediately assume that that's nothing but a manifestation of tyrannical power, and that you discourage it or you certainly fail to encourage it. And I think that that's a dreadful mistake, because that masculine energy, whether that's characteristic of women or men, because women can certainly manifest that, that's something that should be integrated and celebrated. And the way you do that, that's partly why mechanisms like competitive sports are so necessary, is that you want to take kids, let's say boys, the more competitive and aggressive boys, just for this example, you want to take them and you want to socialize them intensely so that they take that aggressive competitive impulse and they're capable of manifesting it inside a social structure like a game, so that it's of benefit to everyone.